Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch everyone and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they've pledged you a lifelong commitment. The Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Commitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And hey, I'm Sam Schultz.
Hey, cool guy, Sam's here today.
Kind of doing like a teen news program vibe this time.
Ooh.
Hey guys, I'm Sam Schultz. Did you hear about the Cold War? Let's rap about it.
So you're not a current teen
No.
doing the news.
They don't do that anymore, I don't think. Do they?
I don't know. Did you used to have that when you were in school?
No, but I used to watch Nick News a lot.
Ooh, yeah, Nick News. We used to have a thing called Channel 1 in our study hall periods in school.
Like a closed circuit TV kind of thing.
It was not a local our school news.
It was like something your school subscribed to or something.
Yeah, it was like a Nick News that was dispersed to many different schools.
Huh.
But I don't know how popular or widespread that actually was. But there were definitely days in our school where when Channel 1 wasn't on, we were bummed because that ate up like half of study hall just watching this news show.
Were they cool?
It was, I think, in
were trying
retrospect,
to be
looking
cool.
back, probably not too cool. But at the time, we appreciated their efforts.
Yeah.
But we're not here today to talk about high school news shows because we are actually getting really, really close to finishing up the year 1985 in our chronological Muppet journey. And we started talking about 1985 all the way back in September, Sam. So, we're getting there. We're chugging
That's
through.
not as long as I was thinking it was. You're right.
It feels like longer than we've been stuck in some years.
Yeah,
So,
totally. Because some years we've been stuck in for one episode, basically, right?
yeah, in the past we've made mistakes where it's like, hey, let's talk about everything they did in 1973 all at once.
Yeah.
But over the next few episodes, we'll be wrapping up 1985 and catching up on some things that we haven't seen throughout the years that have been recently discovered. We got another Donny Osmond clip to watch.
I was going to say, remember variety shows? Remember when that's mainly what we watched was just variety shows?
Yeah, well,
what a world.
Just you wait, Sam. We got quite the catch-up episode coming up. We've got so much to watch.
I'm excited.
We got more Jimmy Deans. We got more Donny Osmond. We've got more random Jim trying to be interesting in a Canadian television show.
Oh, that's a bad combo.
But today is all about the Muppet Babies because we were focusing on the last 4 episodes of Season 2, the Great Muppet Cartoon Show, The Muppet Museum of Art, By the Book, and When You Wish Upon a Muppet. They're really leaning on the Muppet being in the name now.
They are. It's such a good crutch that they found for themselves.
But before we get into that, you know what? It's just time for a little bit of housekeeping, folks. We are coming up on our 3-year anniversary as a podcast, Sam.
That's fine.
Good for us.
Does it feel like it's been 3 years to you?
You know, it's that thing where I think part of it feels like we've been doing it for 10 years.
Yeah.
And I think other times it feels like that new podcast we started doing.
I feel the same way. But it's just been like, it's been 3 Christmases. It's been, has it? Oh, I guess it's been 2. Has it been 2?
23. Yeah, it's been 3 Christmases.
That's wild.
That's the thing is like, it has become so much a part of our like weekly routine and what we do that it does just feel like it has gone from fun thing to hobby to just that's my weekly routine. I do
weeks that we don't do it, I'm just like, I feel like I need to be doing something right now. And then I remember, oh yeah, we're not doing commitment this week.
Yeah, Sunday mornings I just sit staring off into the distance. I'm like, I could be talking to Sam about Muppets right now, but we're not recording.
I just say, hey Matt, how's it going? Can you hear me?
I just keep saying, I'm Matthew Gatos, and no one responds.
You're typing it out on a typewriter. Devins was so worried about you.
He's like, I know. I know who you are. But I wanted to, just mention a few things that we don't mention very often, or we sometimes just mention at the very, very end of the podcast, because we're going to celebrate this 3-year anniversary a little bit. We've got a couple fun episodes back to back coming out right around the time of the actual anniversary at the end of March, where we also want to answer some of your questions in that episode. So if you have any questions for us, conversation starters, who's the best worst Muppets, who's the sexiest Muppets, who's the best.
Do they have to be Muppet based also? Can they ask us what our favorite
That's a good
sandwich
point.
is? I contain multitudes. I would love to sound off on a variety of things.
Yeah, so you can send in your questions via Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, Instagram, email at mail@commitment.com, or we have a submission form at commitment.com. So if you send it out there into the ether, we will find your message.
Isn't it the world's just such a mess right now? How can we have
Yeah.
3 different places that we're trying to communicate with people?
We have 3 different Twitters, essentially.
It sucks.
Yeah, if sorry if you're following us on Threads and Blue Sky. We don't post there very often, but also no one else does either. But that's why, it's best to just try and find us anywhere you can. If you want to send us a message, we will see it, even if we're not, putting things out on those platforms. We are seeing the messages come in.
Yeah, you know where we see them the most? On the Discord also.
Ooh,
Mm.
yeah, good segue, Sam, because we also have a Patreon where you can support us, support the podcast, pay for all our, you know, podcasting ain't free, turns out. There's fees, we got websites to pay for, all that jazz. But it's also just a great place to support us and hang out in our Discord because we got a bunch of fun people hanging out in our Discord. That's honestly where we find a lot of our new clips or new to us clips that are
Yeah.
recently uploaded because we have people scouring the internet searching for new Muppet clips every single day who bring us something as soon as it's uploaded. And that is obviously very helpful to this podcast, but it's also a great place to hang out and just chat about things that aren't Muppets.
Yeah. I have it open like all the time, just with one little eye on it, you know?
Yeah, people upload cool pictures of the puppets they make, of good Muppet merchandise they buy. Sometimes we just start talking about movies that aren't related to Muppets at all. So if you want
Mm-hmm.
to hang out in there, you go to our Patreon and sign up for that, and you get to hang out in our Discord. And you also get access to our monthly live streams where we just hang out and play video games. We've been working on playing through the Muppets Inside CD-ROM lately, which is truly one of the I was gonna say one of the best. It's
It's true. It's
it is one of
true.
the best. It's also one of the most wild Muppet things we've ever consumed.
Encountered in any medium, really.
Yeah. So if you want to see us playing that, we recently put up a public live stream on our YouTube page and on the Patreon. But normally those are private, only for Patreon people, once a month, and we have a lot of fun. And the last little bit of housekeeping I will mention here again is we also have merch. There are so many ways to support the
Mm-hmm.
Commitment Boys. And one of those ways is going to commitmentstuff.com to pick up your Keep Believing, Keep Pretending hat, your Don Celine Makes a Hell of a Puppet shirt, your Commitment logo enamel pin. We got options, folks. But I think that's enough housekeeping for now. We've got 4 episodes of Muppet Babies to talk about. So, Sam,
Oh.
what did we watch this week?
November 16th, 1985. There's just a hint of winter chill in the air, so you turn the thermostat up a couple of degrees, which you are not supposed to do because you're a kid. Grab your ET blanket and settle in for some Saturday morning cartoons. Muppet Babies blazes to life on the screen, as it always seems to do on Saturday mornings. This week's episode is The Great Muppet Cartoon Show. Nanny finds the babies all drawing their own flip books and tells them that she knows how they can make their own real cartoons. So she gives them her 8mm camera and helps them set up an overhead camera rig. Quite an elaborate setup for some babies. So basically, the babies all take turns making different types of cartoons. Piggy rips off Disney with Pignocchio. Gonzo takes us on a little tour of early black and white cartoons. Scooter does some 3D animation. Skeeter does some amazing claymation. Rolf does some cool, like, impressionistic paint stuff. Basically, there is no plot. They just do it, and then they're done doing it, and that's fine. Next up, November 23rd, 1985. Not every Saturday morning can be special and whimsical. Sometimes you're just sitting around watching TV, all right? Maybe you're eating a Pop Tart or something. Is that good enough for you? Anyway, this week's Muppet Baby episode is The Muppet Museum of Art. We find that the babies all ready to leave the house to go on a trip to the museum. And if you know Muppet Babies, you know that there is zero chance that they are leaving this playroom. So all you can do is wait for the inevitable complication that will prevent this trip from happening. And it comes in the form of Skeeter tripping over an errant roller skate and twisting her ankle. Nanny lectures the kids about putting away their toys, and as she does so, Piggy realizes that it was her roller skate that tripped Skeeter. So, the little rat hides her skate and swaps it out for Gonzo's. Gonzo then gets a tongue lashing from Nanny and all the babies, and he feels really bad. Nanny cancels the trip and takes Skeeter off to tend to her ankle. The babies know that Nanny was excited to go to the museum, so they decide to make their own art and hang it up for her. Like the previous episode, this serves sort of like more as a tour of art and how to appreciate it than as like something with a plot exactly, which is pretty cool, I think, in my opinion. Anyway, Gonzo keeps making art that features Piggy's pink roller skate, which haunts Piggy, kind of like a telltale heart situation, and she destroys or hides all of his work upon seeing it. When they bring Nanny in to look at their work, Gonzo reveals that he has one last hidden piece. Piggy's nervous because it might have the skate in it and she'll get in trouble, but it does not. It's just a nice picture of Piggy that Gonzo drew because he loves her so much. Piggy feels really bad about this and fesses up, and she doesn't even get in trouble at all. Nanny doesn't even acknowledge it, and Skeeter then says it was sort of her own fault, which is kind of a fucked up ending, and that's just where they leave it. Next up, November 30th, 1985. Thanksgiving was a couple days ago. You heat yourself up some leftover stuffing and mashed potatoes in the microwave for breakfast and settle in next to your visiting cousins to watch Saturday morning TV. That sounds really fun, doesn't it? I want to hang out with my cousins. You all like Muppet Babies, so you watch Muppet Babies. This week's episode is called By the Book. The playroom is being painted, and also it's done being painted. The babies are excited to see what it looks like, but I think the playroom has wallpaper. And when they go in, it looks exactly the same. Anyway, all their toys got moved out by the painters, and they have to wait exactly half an hour for the painters to bring the toys back for some reason. So Nanny brings the babies a big box of books to help them pass the time. Never mind the fact that the babies can't read, a fact that they mention themselves. So the babies take turns pretending to read the books to each other. Kermit reads Robin Hood, Piggy reads The Wizard of Oz, and Scooter reads Peter Pan. But the whole time, Skeeter, for some reason, doesn't want them to read books and keeps trying to make them stop and like interrupting their imagination sessions until she decides to help Scooter read Peter Pan. And then she's like, okay, I guess books are fine. And then the painters bring the toys back in, and then Nanny reads them a book, which she should have read them a book while the toys weren't in the playroom. Basically, this episode is a disaster, in my opinion. And back in the real world, you decided partway through the episode to turn it off and play Duck Hunt with your cousins instead, and that was a good call. Finally, it's December 7th, 1985. You're feeling festive, so you bust out the old Christmas list and add a few entries to it: Transformers Dinobots, a couple He Man toys, and you flip on the old boob tube while you're at it. And wouldn't you know it, Muppet Babies is on. This week, when you wish upon a Muppet. The babies find a lamp in a box of junk. It's like one of those genie lamps, an oil lamp. How do those lamps work? Do you know?
Oh, of course not. I think I think
There's
it's
like
like
a
an oil lamp.
yeah. Okay, anyway, so they decide to play Genie, pretend Genie. So Animal dresses up like a genie and they all take turns making wishes to him. Piggy wants a luxury cruise ship. Fozzie wants to be in movies. Skeeter wants a pony, but the whole time Kermit can't decide what he wants to wish for. Piggy tries to strong arm him into wishing to be married to her, but eventually he decides to wish that he and his friends would stay together forever, making TV and movies, and he has a feeling his wish might just come true. What do you think? In the rest of the world, in November and December 1985, the Windows operating system is first released. LL Cool J's debut album, Radio, is also released. Courtney Cox says the word period on national TV for the first time in a Tampax commercial. Ewoks The Battle for Endor airs on ABC, and Rocky IV is released in theaters. Big couple months.
Yeah. I mean, especially for the Ewoks.
Can you believe Courtney Cox is the first person who ever said period on national TV?
That is it's an interesting little tidbit for her.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's exciting,
she's
kind
probably
of.
got enough of those, like,
Right.
at a party, like share something interesting about you. I'm sure she's got a lot of those.
Oh yeah, 3 truths and a lie or something. That would be a good one.
Yeah.
Or she has like a
Oh, man.
certificate printed out on her wall that she made herself that says first person to say period on national television.
Well, elsewhere in the world of Muppets around this time, there are a few things coming up that we will be watching in our wrapping up 1985 episode, specifically things that did happen around this time. November 28th, 1985 is the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, in which we will see the Kermit balloon once again. December 6th, 1985, Jim appears in a show called Wogan.
Wogan? It's
I
a
think
talk show
it's a British TV show, which,
with a guy named Wogan in it. It sounds like it should be about like a marauding Viking or something, doesn't it?
nope, just Terry Wogan. And maybe we've seen him before and we forgot, but Jim will
Maybe.
be on there. It's an extended interview. Thankfully, we get to watch that one. And then on December 7th, 1985, Kermit and Miss Piggy will be on Great Performances.
Oh, is that a music thing?
I think this is them talking about ballet.
Okay.
Because I believe we mentioned them filming this at one
That
point.
sounds familiar. Yeah.
But we will actually get to see it now. And then elsewhere in the world of Jim Henson around this time, and these come from Jim's journal via the Jim's Red Book blog. November 18th, 1985, he wrote Jenny Looping. And this is because Jennifer Connelly needed to come in and record some dialogue replacement for
As you
Labyrinth.
do.
November 20th, 1985, George Lucas checks out Labyrinth Final Cut. Which, is hilarious because the next note is December 1st, 1985, back to UK, reshoot Hoggle.
Oh no. George probably. He was disparaging of Hoggle.
Yeah, I hate that guy.
Say it in the right voice.
I hate that guy. Basically by December of 1985, most of the work on the movie was complete. The reshoot was apparently just to fix a small thing related to some portion of the editing. So I'm guessing they just had something where they're like, oh shit, we don't have Hoggle walking in that direction. We need that. So I don't think it was a huge story fix, but it was filling in some holes.
But they had to go back to the UK to fix it. That sucks.
Well, thankfully, on December 11th, Jim wrote UK Party Fancy Dress.
Oh, okay.
So
maybe he was going anyway.
He was jet setting around the world to do all of his holiday parties with his various teams.
Yes.
So he was in the UK for his holiday party. And then back in December 18th and 19th, he was having New York holiday parties, apparently 2, or at least maybe it lasted 2 days. And he also had, on December 16th, before that one, he was in Toronto for the Fraggle Rock team's holiday party.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, maybe the one was at midnight and it crossed over, Like, and he was just being really specific.
I mean, I would agree with you, except also during this time, he writes, December 31st, 1985, New Year's Eve, Kermit Times Square.
Oh, okay.
So if he's going to write 2 dates down for anything, I feel like a New Year's celebration is the one you write both days down for.
That's right.
Because, we will get to see Kermit celebrating at Times Square for New Year's. We unfortunately get a pretty short clip of it to watch, but I think he was there for multiple hours doing hosting.
Just hanging out.
Yeah.
Why don't they do that still? Why didn't they just do that forever? How can you resist if you're like, who should host this event? Why would you ever not say there should be a Muppet there, right? Obviously.
Well, that's why I like that Best in Snow building show they did on Disney Plus, because there's no reason for Kermit to be in it, but he just is, and he's great.
Yeah, and Holy Moly is kind of the opposite side of the coin on that, where they just
because they just didn't. You could have taken those Holy Moly Muppet clips and put them on any other TV show, pretty much, and it wouldn't have mattered. Yeah. But they just also weren't that strong of clips. So it's a very weird choice to do that one. Also during this time, there is some sad news. On December 6th, 1985, Burr Tillstrom dies. And Burr Tillstrom was the puppeteer behind Kukla, Fran, and Ollie, who was one of Jim's earliest inspirations. And they met in 1960 at, of course, a puppetry festival. Which was also how Jim met Don Saleen, because I believe Don Saleen was working for Burr previously, and Jim snatched him away.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right.
And something I didn't realize until I was looking this up, that when Jim and his family moved to New York in 1963, got an apartment in the same building where Burr was living. So their friendship continued
Whoa.
because they were neighbors.
Did he do that on purpose?
I don't know. Maybe it was like
Was
a
he like,
recommendation of like, hey, Burr, I'm moving to New York. Where should I live? He's like, there's an apartment downstairs. He's like, okay, we'll be there soon.
or Jim just showed up on his doorstep one day and said, "Hey, Burr, I live next door to you now." Burr was like, "Oh, great."
But yes, so that happened on December 6th, and then on December 17th, there was a memorial service for Burr that Jim participated in, and I believe in 1986 there will be a like television Hall of Fame memorial thing on TV for
hmm
Burr, and Jim also participates in that, and I believe we'll watch that sometime in the next few months.
I love Kukla, Fran, and Ollie. It's so weird.
It's so weird, and just the standards for TV puppetry were clearly so different pre-Muppet.
Yeah, that's why Burr was mad that Jim moved in. He was like, "You're the guy who ruined everything for me. I
Yeah.
had to move my hand in time to my words."
Yeah, you were like, but what if the lips matched the words you're saying? And that
You
changed
couldn't.
everything for the worse, Jim.
I'd been hoping nobody would notice that.
I was just flapping my hands willy-nilly. Yeah, we we don't mean to disparage Bert
No,
Hillstrom,
I really
but
do love Kukla, Fran, and Ollie.
it's just a very different era of
Yeah.
puppetry.
I mean, it's like the Rocky and Bullwinkle of that kind of world where it's just like slapdash in like a really charming way.
Yeah, and you go back and you watch it and you're like, "Oh, they did reuse a lot of the same shots and a lot of this and
Yeah.
this plot that goes nowhere." It's yeah, there's
But it's
certain
also
things.
really funny. Like Kukla, Fran, and Ollie was really funny.
And the whole thing of puppets interacting with a human
Yeah.
was something that was not super common back in the day.
Yeah.
So thanks, Burr. But getting into the Muppet Babies that we watched this week, I gotta say out the bat, Sam, I think Muppet Babies is kind of hitting its stride.
Yeah.
It's a
I
mixed
think
bag.
it's a mixed bag for sure. I think there were a couple here that that were almost like Sesame Street level. Like it actually was kind of like what I was talking about with Placido Flamingo, where I
Mm,
was like, "Oh, I wish they would have taken an opportunity to like teach you how to
right.
appreciate opera." And I do feel like the art episode made some steps towards being like, sometimes you're gonna see art and you're gonna be like, "What the hell is that splat?" And you just got to take a second to think about it. And somebody made that splat for a reason. And like that song, even the song was like, "Art is for the heart," and that is just like, take a minute to look at it.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that. I mean, a lot of these episodes didn't have a plot in like a totally fine way, especially the animation one. But the animation one I liked for the same reason because it did feel like as much of a like meta love letter
Oh,
to
yeah.
animation as you could have back then.
Yeah, it's the most meta the Muppet Babies have been so far.
Right.
Repeatedly talking about. My favorite is when they're starting off being like, making cartoons is so easy. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, the animators are probably like, what the hell? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
But yeah, it feels like a true love letter to animation of all kinds. And
Mhm.
when we saw that 3D animation, my brain actually like broke a little bit that we were
That was
seeing.
something you had said also, where you were like, I think in the last episode, even, I can't quite remember, but you were like, the
Mhm.
first time we see 3D animation, it's going to be insane. And
Yeah,
then we saw
it
it, and it
happened.
was like, it was like, what the hell is this? It's from a different dimension.
It
Like,
felt like
literally,
somebody
it is from a
like
different dimension.
hacked into Muppet Babies and inserted a clip from the
Yeah.
future.
And that part was so interesting, too, because Scooter was like, 3D animation's the best because it's so precise. And
Mhm.
then he's like fighting with Animal about, and I feel like that was a more, Animals like, no, make it messy. And I feel like that was a better conversation about 3D animation
Yeah,
versus traditional animation than anybody's ever had since then. And he's like locked in that digital cage. And then he's
yeah.
like, oh, it can be both. And it's like, yeah, why did it take until like into the Spider Verse for major motion pictures to realize that it doesn't have to just be like orbs floating around, like literally what you made at the beginning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kinda wild, and I feel like that I'm just like, "Oh, would there be a Muppet Babies taking on AI conversations if
Uh-huh.
something like this was happening today?"
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the first 2 episodes of this batch are extremely strong. The cartoon one and the art one, I think, are both great.
Mhm.
The When You Wish Upon a Muppet, and the By the Book are a little less great.
By the Book had an opportunity to be similar to the other 2
Yeah.
episodes and be like Books are fun too. But
right?
the plot of that one was so weird because Skeeter is like, fuck books. And you literally never learn why she's like that, do you?
No, and it just suddenly changes at one point where
Yeah.
she's like, "You know what? I'm okay with books now."
I
And
guess
you're
some
like,
books are okay.
no one tried to convince her. No one was trying to win her over and show her why books are cool. She just suddenly
Yeah.
decided, you guys need me. I'm going to make this book
Yeah.
more fun." And it's not enough to carry it.
It's like they wrote part of the episode where she was like, I'm not very good at reading. And then they were like, oh, we've previously established that none of these people can read. So we're going to just erase all that, but leave in the fact that she doesn't want to do it.
Well, and yeah, I think we've seen all of these kids be pretty
Mhm.
excited about picture books in the past and
Yeah.
having fun ideas come out of them. But for
Yeah.
some reason in that one, she is just vehemently against the idea of books.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's like, and she's like, she has no other options. All of their toys are
Uh-huh.
gone right now. So literally, it's books or nothing, and she chooses nothing.
She's working out. And she's just like in the background, sadly doing sit ups and like jumping
Yeah,
jacks and stuff.
it is bizarre.
Yeah.
It's also worth noting, because we are wrapping up season 2, we have the last appearances of Howie Mandel's performance.
Yeah.
So he is in these episodes performing Baby Cedar, Baby Animal, and Baby Bunsen. But these are the last times that we will hear Howie Mandel's Baby Muppets.
Does Dave Coulier take over from here?
So not all of them. So Dave
Okay.
Coulier takes over for Baby Bunsen for the remaining 6 seasons of this show.
Matt, don't say stuff like that. You dirty liar.
And Dave Coulier also takes over for Baby Animal. But
Oh, okay.
Frank Welker takes over Skeeter.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder why they would do that? Because Dave Coulier can do that voice because he does that voice all the time.
Yeah. I don't. This is going to be, I feel like, even more jarring than seeing 3D animation in our Muppet Babies.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going to turn on a season 3 episode when we're talking about them again in, I think, May, maybe.
Yeah.
And just be like, who the hell is that?
Yeah. I hope Baby Animal doesn't lose any of his steam because he really is the best part of the show. I'm fully on board
Yeah.
with that now.
Well, I know as a child, I must have watched a
Yeah.
ton of the other later season Muppet Babies and
Right.
had no problem with the voices being different.
Yeah. Maybe
But
we'll
I
hear him
also,
and be like, oh, yeah, that's how I remember them sounding, actually.
maybe, but it might be like I was a kid who loved Return of Jafar as a kid,
Mm. Hmm.
and I would watch that movie all the time. And never once did I go, this genie sounds an awful lot like Homer Simpson.
Is that who voices him in that?
Yeah, Dan
Dan
Castellaneta.
Castellaneta.
Yep. He did the voice of the genie
Oh,
in the
wow, I
second
gotta look
Aladdin
that up.
movie,
Does he
and
say dough?
he
Does he
doesn't
say,
say dough,
boy?
but when you go back, it's so obvious that it's Dan Castellaneta and not Robin
Wow.
Williams.
I would
But as
love
a
to. I
kid,
need to hear that.
I had no problem with it.
Yeah, that's true. Kids don't know. Kids don't know anything. And
That's really the theme of Muppet Babies.
there's a beauty to that. You can never have anything ruined for you if you don't have any expectations of what things are supposed to be.
There's a lot of people who don't care regardless. They may not
Yeah,
notice now as adults.
probably way more people than who do care.
Yeah,
By
you know how many people know the name Dan Castellaneta? Not a ton. Sorry, Dan, but that's just
sorry,
the truth.
one of the most famous cartoon characters of all time, I would imagine.
Yeah, and probably one of the most well-paid voice actors of all time
Yeah.
isn't a household name. So getting into the first episode that we watched, The Great Muppet Cartoon Show, aired on November 16th, 1985. Starts off with Scooter printing out astronaut doodles from his computer.
So frustrated. This astronaut sucks.
Yeah, he's just not happy with how it looks.
They look
Uh,
fine.
They look all right, and they all look pretty much the same. So I'm not
Yeah.
really sure what he's trying to change between
Yeah.
astronauts.
Well, sometimes the artistic process is like that, you know?
Just small variations.
Yeah.
But Skeeter flips through all of his printed out 90s computer paper and realizes that Scooter accidentally made a flip book,
Mm-hmm.
which Scooter immediately tries to claim he did on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And Gonzo calls his bluff and says, well, then you can teach us all how to make one.
They hate Scooter so much.
So they each grab a stack of computer paper, It's the
Man,
ones
could
with
you just like feel and smell that computer paper and
all the
that
little
hear
tear
that
off
printer?
edges.
Oh, tearing off those edges was great.
Just
A lot of you out there, you don't even know. Paper
dot
used to be more fucked up.
paper. It was attached to all the other paper,
Yeah, there were several
and
steps involved with printing something out, just like with the paper. It was
yeah,
crazy.
you couldn't just grab a sheet of paper from the
Uh-huh.
printer. You had to grab
Mm.
multiple sheets at a time that were all attached, break them apart, and then also rip off the outside
The
edges, which held it
sides.
in the printer.
Good times.
But if you wanted to print out a happy birthday banner, you could do that.
Banner making was far easier.
Well, immediately, Piggy starts drawing a dancing naked Kermit on
I
her tissue
wrote down
paper.
that he was naked as well. That stood out to me quite a bit.
Her ultimate like final animation she shows Nanny notably does
Yeah,
not feature Kermit's naked body,
she hid the naked one for herself
but she does just draw Kermit dancing around a little bit, not wearing his little
in the
sailor suit.
buff. It's quite cute, but also he's naked as hell.
Yeah, which again he eventually will be in the
Yeah,
future all the
she
time.
knows.
But
She convinced him to be naked, actually.
yeah, look at this drawing. Look how great you look. Well, Fozzie draws a laughing crowd who, of course, throws tomatoes at him.
Hmm.
And then Nanny comes in to see what the kids are doing because she has to check in at least once a day.
Yep.
You know, sometimes Nanny walks in and goes, "What are you doing? Cool. Bye."
Yeah, she does this in another episode in this set where she's just like, why were you even there? What was the what was the purpose of your visit? Generally, she will give them some piece of advice that carries forward through the episode, but not in the wishing one. She's just like, okay, see ya.
She she walks in and they're like, "Oh, we're making wishes, Nanny." And she's like, "Well, hope your wishes come true. Bye." Like you could have helped make some of their wishes come true. Like you could have played in the game with them.
Yeah, you
But
gotta
I
have a
guess
little fun.
she can't sit down on the floor and play with them because then we have to see her head.
Yeah, that's true. We'll have to change the camera angle. But this time she gives them a relic. She gives them something super important that I feel like she should have given them a long time ago, given their predisposition to pretending to make movies and stuff all the time.
They had a camcorder they played with at some point, and
Yeah,
now
I forgot
she's
about
like,
that.
"Well, you kids broke the camcorder, so here's my old 8mm camera."
Uh huh.
Because she tells the kids, "You know, you can make real animated cartoons if you want to." And she talks to them about like, "Hey, there's this little button, takes one frame at a time." And Skeeter says, "Sounds easy," and Annie says, "It is."
Very, yeah. She's just dropping so much knowledge on them. They pick up the basics of animation instantly. It's
Well,
amazing.
yeah, and it feels like Nanny must have a bunch of animations that she's made in the past somewhere that we'll never
Yes.
see.
I got the impression also that Nanny was an animator in a previous life because she knew how to set the rig up. She knew all that stuff. It
Okay,
didn't.
okay. You say that, Sam.
Well,
Because the
she
next thing we get
does.
is Rolf, I think, saying, "Hey, look, we set up the camera just like Nanny told us to." And they have it rubber banded to the ladder of a toy fire truck.
I think that was a smart way to do it.
She should have a tripod.
She should have had something else, is right, but she had to get rid of all of it when she moved into her new career. It
Of
all belonged to the
nannying.
company, and she returned it.
Mm.
She's a work from home animator.
Maybe she was doing propaganda cartoons for the CIA.
Oh
And
yeah,
then once she had to retire, they were like, "Okay, well, can you
yeah,
watch over our new recruits?"
yeah. She developed carpal tunnel, and they had to move her out of the drawing department. That's what it was.
Into the nannying department of the CIA,
Ooh.
watching over the new
Nanny is a
experiments.
code. It's like a
Ooh, like Agent Nanny.
yeah, and
A
it's
double O title.
NANNY, but we can't think of what it stands for right now. Well, next episode we'll know.
Yeah, give us a week to think of something.
It'd be easier if the letter M was in there somewhere. Put Muppet, but it ain't.
Well, Piggy starts off by drawing Pig-Nocchio, where Piggy is the puppet, and
Yeah.
Kermit is Jeremy Kermit.
Oh, he's not Jiminy Kermit?
I think it sounded like they said Jiminy the first time, but
Uh-huh.
later on, it sounds like either Miss Piggy is pronouncing Jiminy weird or they are calling him Jeremy Kermit, which is
Okay.
so much better
I
than
do
Jiminy
like
Kermit.
Jeremy Kermit. That sounds like a British prime minister's name or something.
MP Jeremy Kermit, what say
Yeah.
ye?
This also sets up a weird reoccurring joke where Piggy. Does this happen before? Where Piggy will insert the word pig into a name, and then somebody else will go, "Who?" And then she says it again, because that happens twice in these episodes.
Oh, I don't think I've noticed it before.
Okay, because it's Pignocchio and Pigorothy, and they say,
Which,
"What is that
again,
word that you said?"
well, and it feels like they're judging her naming of characters when no one in this world of Muppet Babies has room to come at anyone else
Nope.
for naming a character
Nope.
because they're all quite terrible
Yeah.
later on, which it thankfully turns into a joke. But in the art episode, they say Pablo Paganzo, but then they also have Pablo Pakermit, Pablo Pafazzi, Pablo Parolf, and Pablo Papiggy.
And that one's cute, but earlier in that episode, they have Pierre Animal Renoir. They just put the word animal. What is it? Is that a joke?
I
Let
mean,
me
it's
see.
replacing one of his names.
Oh, Auguste. So maybe that's okay. Maybe I take it back.
I mean, they also say Kermit Lautrec in that episode instead of just Toulouse-Lautrec. And I'm like,
Yeah.
really? Nothing else? But in this episode, we have the Pinocchio, and we have Gonzo the Blue Fairy showing up to grant Kermit's wish that Piggy would be a real pig.
Yeah, this is fucked up, okay, for a lot of reasons. Number one, Pinocchio's so tiny if Jiminy Cricket is tiny.
There's a little bit when Jeremy Kermit first comes into the room, it looks like he's a bit smaller than the piggy puppet. But then
Uh-huh.
as they need to interact more, they get to sort of
She
the same
scales
scale.
down and he scales up. It's also messed up because in this version of Pinocchio, Jiminy
Hmm.
Cricket is in love with Pinocchio and wants to bring Pinocchio to life to be in love with Pinocchio. That ain't good.
Yeah. It is not, you know, Geppetto's wish to have a son.
Yeah.
It is a cricket's frog's wish to fall in love with a puppet.
Yeah. At the point where they're doing that, they could have probably just said, let's do a different story. Let's do Cinderella or something. Maybe we already did that.
But I enjoy Gonzo as the Blue Fairy.
He's good as a blue fairy. That's right. It's striking how different this Gonzo is than adult Gonzo. Like I feel
Mm,
like his character has grown farther and farther apart. Because he's more like a Pepe Rizzo kind of guy at this point,
yeah.
and not so much like the brains of that particular operation, and also a sensitive guy. He's not sensitive at all anymore. He's just a creep at this point.
He is a little bit of a creep, but he's got a deeper personality than most of the other Muppet
That's true.
Babies.
Yeah, that's true.
He gets to be more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But after he accidentally turns Piggy into a bank, he tries again, saying, "Take this puppet of wood, string, and cork and turn it into living pork." And immediately Pinocchio says, "Let's run away to the swamp." Kermit says, "Can you swim?" And she says, "No, but I can float forever." Kind of sweet.
I guess so. Except it's just like these characters are not like this is like slash fiction Pinocchio slash Jiminy Cricket, which I'm sure
Yeah.
exists, but nobody should
Mm,
have to see that.
no. Thankfully, we are saved from the details by Fozzie, who is drawing an animated chicken joke, which is something he had on Little Muppet Monsters. So we've
That's what I
seen
was thinking too, and it kind of looked similar to what he had spread out in front of him. I think.
there's only so many animated Muppet Chickens
I suppose. So,
styles you can go
yeah.
for. But Gonzo is the entrepreneur of the group. He
Mm-hmm.
doesn't just want to draw a cartoon, he wants to start his own cartoon studio.
Yeah. He
And
wants to
so we,
exploit people, Walt Disney style.
yeah, but even worse because he's only stealing other people's animated cartoons for his
Yeah.
business. Because he's immediately drawing Coco the Clown
Yeah.
from the 1918.
Public domain. So
Yeah, I mean, maybe barely at that point.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
Nowadays, definitely public domain.
Yeah.
But he's trying to figure out what character could really help his studio take off, and he settles on a mouse. And this is a weird one.
Yeah, it's very itchy and scratchy coded.
Well, to me, what seemed weird is also there's stock footage of animators working and running around, but they
Mhm.
have lines. Like there's like Frank Welker and somebody else like doing voiceover for these
Doing their
stock.
real Ghostbuster voices.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's weird. I think that's what sets it apart is that we have like these characters who aren't animated, who are real people,
Mhm.
but with animated cartoon voices. It's just a little bizarre.
I like that Gonzo's sitting, like the animation table he's sitting at. You can see
Mm.
the character models for the Muppet Babies behind him. I thought
Hmm.
that was cute.
Yeah, it's again a great meta episode.
Yeah.
And we get to share a lot of old cartoons with the kiddos. We get to see Gertie the
Yeah.
dinosaur, Coco the clown.
If you're gonna
Uh,
use a lot of B-roll, I feel like this is the way to do it. Like
Well, and it has
Just
a
in the art
purpose.
episode, yeah. Yeah,
Like
totally.
the Three Stooges meet Hercules. There's no purpose other than we needed a scary image of a thing.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
But then Baby Gonzo gets stuck in the cartoon, and then he says a chilling line of "Let me out. I don't want to be in this cartoon anymore."
At the end of it, he kind of comes to terms with the fact that like, the people who work for him are like, "You're trapped in there forever."
Oh, I mean,
Horrible.
we're gonna get there, but the end of this episode is maybe the most chilling thing to have happened so far in
Maybe
Muppet
that didn't
Babies.
it didn't hit me. What I don't remember what it
We'll
was.
get there.
Okay.
Because for now, we have a poor segue into a song called We Love Cartoons. Another non doo-wop song.
I think that's behind us.
I think it is.
I think they were
Or
done
if
with
it
it.
comes back now, like one off, whatever, I'm
It's
okay
fine.
with it.
I really hate the songs way less now that they're not all doo-wop.
Yeah. They make some bold, weird choices on some of these songs now that they moved outside of doo-wop. But this
Uh-huh.
one is great because
It's
this
just
one's
kind
just
of
like,
generic. I don't even know what kind of music you'd call this. Just like generic 80s pop music, kind
you like
of.
80s kids show, it feels like,
Yeah.
which this
Yeah.
is. But it just,
Right.
because the main riff of it is, we love cartoons, we love all the action.
And then it's all the guys, and they're dressed up like Popeye. They're dressed up like other guys. I can't remember.
We got Super Kermit, we got Betty Boop Piggy, we
Oh,
have
Betty Boop
Bugs
Piggy
Bunny
was pretty good.
Fozzie.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we have all the furniture coming alive at one point.
Yeah.
But we have Popeye Kermit, which I wrote down. Just feels like if Sam was ever going to get a tattoo,
Popeye Kermit is a good one to
Popeye
get.
Kermit
You're right.
is a good Sam tattoo.
You're right. I don't like baby Kermit enough, I think, to get a Popeye
Mm,
baby Kermit, but
yeah.
maybe close.
Notably, Skeeter is playing Olive Oil in that little imaginary thing, and Piggy gets
Yeah.
mad about
Piggy
that.
hates that. Yeah. Piggy as Bluto would have been fun, huh?
That would have been
I
fun.
guess the
Maybe,
implication would be that they punch each other, which is not the best. But she does punch him all the time, so
yeah.
never mind.
Well, but it would also be that Piggy was going to try and steal Skeeter from Kermit.
Dang, you're right. Yeah.
So
Kermit should have been
Gonzo,
Olive Oil, and Skeeter should have been Popeye. That actually makes
yes,
more sense.
that is better. But after that, Rolf invents pianimation. He's just sticking paper through his piano, painting up all the
Yeah.
little, whatever those things are called. The little,
The hammers?
yeah, that sounds right.
I think that's what they're called. The
And we get,
mallets? I think they maybe are called mallets. Anyway,
those are both hammers.
continue.
We see a super artsy Sesame Street like cartoon
Yeah,
come
I
out of
feel like
this.
this must have been from something else. Like this must have been a clip from something else.
Yes.
But
So it is from a thing called The Creation. It's a 1981 animated short from a guy named Will Vinton.
oh yeah,
He also is responsible for the stop motion claymation thing that we see later on from Skeeter, which is from Legacy, A Very Short History of Natural Resources.
yeah. He's the guy. He created the California raisins,
Oh.
and he made that Christmas special that maybe you've seen, like the Christmas with the California raisins or something like that, with the dinosaurs who are hosting the Christmas special.
I know of it. I have never watched it.
And I think he started the company that became Leica. And I think there's a whole lot of like shady dealings that happened of ousting him, but I won't get in. You can read about that yourself. But Rolf, I often feel is operating at a completely different level than the rest of the Muppet Babies. He is like he's the only one who's wearing a diaper, but he's also the only one who's like thinking and creating art by himself, and like physical art that you can see in the real world, not just in your imagination. He's always using his piano to do it, which is a little weird, but
It's all he's got, Sam. If he's not touching a piano, he's like an
that's
NPC. He's just
true.
dead in the corner. He's flopped over
True.
unless his
If,
hands are on a piano.
if all you have is a hammer and every thing looks like a nail, that's what Rolf's going through right now.
Yeah.
But I feel like he's kind of the same way in the Muppet Show too, where he is kind of like he's like the actual serious artist of the group in a lot of ways.
He's old and tired, Sam, I think is what we're
Mm.
getting to, is that no matter
Yeah.
what age Rolf is,
Yeah.
he's the old, tired one of the group
Yeah,
who,
I guess in dog years he's older than the rest of the babies too.
I mean, he's also the only one who has to eat a different kind of food. He is
Yeah.
the only one wearing a diaper. He is,
He was in the
by
pound,
design,
possibly.
he is treated differently than the others.
Uh-huh.
Like, Kermit doesn't have to eat frog food for some reason.
Oh, he
Piggy's
doesn't
not
have to
eating
eat
out of a
bugs.
trough.
He doesn't eat bugs all the time. Yeah.
They can eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, but Rolf's like, I'll be over here with my can of dog
I
food.
guess I'll eat this dog food for some reason.
But then we have the moment, Sam. Scooter just says casually, I'm going to do computer animation.
And he does instantly.
Yeah, he does it by pointing the camera at his computer monitor. So I don't
What-
I don't think
I
typically
don't,
pointing an 8mm camera at a computer monitor is how computer animation works.
I don't know for sure that that's not how they captured early computer animation, but I
I'm pretty sure
highly,
it's
highly doubt
not.
it. Yeah.
They just like hit enter and then it would render for 8 days and they'd have an MOV file that was 140 pixels.
What did they have back then? I don't actually know how they would have saved that file to be shown on Muppet Babies, or how they would have turned. They must have printed it out on film or something. Anyway, somebody must know.
Yeah, I definitely don't.
Oh.
But we see uh, he's beeping and bopping into his computer and he's talking about how precise and perfect 3D animation can be.
Yeah, in
And
like
then
a creepy way, kind of.
yes. And we see a little clip from a short called High Fidelity from 1984 of a figure with a couple of umbrellas. And this is by Robert Abel, who, if you look him up, was a pioneer in the world of visual effects and 3D
Mm.
animation. He worked
Mm-hmm.
on Tron a bit, and he worked on a bunch of 80s commercials that were like, Honda wants its 3D animated commercial. You go to Robert Abel.
I know this isn't possible, but this is like a good. This episode is such a good retrospective of animation, but they pretend like the babies made all of it. So you're not really actually learning like how to learn more about this stuff, I guess.
Right, like the art they call out, like, oh, the Van Gogh and Lautrec, like
Yeah.
you can Google names, or at that
That's
point read a
interesting.
book.
Yeah.
At this point, it does just like that's why I honestly like looked up some of this stuff because I was like, did they make this for Muppet Babies or is it coming
Uh-huh.
from somewhere else? And it's just kind of a weird compilation episode of animation. But uh,
That is
yeah.
quite a like a distinction. That what you just said is really interesting, that they call out the artists but they don't call it the animators. That just
Mm.
feels like yeah, how they
I
see
mean,
those
I
two
think
different
like it's
forms of
a
things.
yeah, it's like a level of respect of like these classic painters need to be called out by name.
Mhm.
Um, but if we're referencing and using this 3D animator, we don't necessarily need to call him out.
Right.
But this is when Animal and Scooter have their fight because Scooter is talking about how computers make the best animation because it's so perfect and scientific, and Animal just keeps busting in on
Throwing
behalf
paint
of
all over it.
2D. And as Scooter says, good animation is perfect and organized. He traps himself in a prison of his own making.
Yeah. This seems so ahead of its time.
This seems so
Like
pointed and like aimed at somebody at the studio who was like,
right.
hey, what if we put some 3D animation into Muppet Babies? And the animators were like, screw that.
Sorry, we don't know how to do that, so fuck you.
Yeah, it'll take 3 years.
But it does feel like the conclusion they come to is not that one is better than the other necessarily. But maybe it is. I don't know. I don't know.
It does feel like it kind of bails on
Yeah,
a point
totally.
in that
On
segment because
taking a
Animal just
stance.
summons the Fantasia brooms in
Uh-huh.
paintbrush form, and I thought they were gonna like destroy Scooter somehow or ruin everything
Kill
he's
him.
been working on. But
Trapped in
really,
the
they just
computer forever.
right, they just make a rainbow road and Animal kind of flies away.
Yep.
And then Scooter's like, maybe animation doesn't have to be so exact after all, and he's set
Yeah.
free from his prison.
Interesting. This is probably my favorite part of any Muppet Baby episode that we've ever seen.
Yeah, I literally at the same point in my notes wrote, amazing, more episodes like this, please.
Yeah. Weird ones that start flirting with huge existential questions of the animation industry.
But Skeeter's going to do claymation now too, and this was I just had the thought going into this of like, oh my god, this episode's great, keep doing this, and then Skeeter's like, I'm going to try claymation, and I'm like, hell yes, keep it
Mm-hmm.
going, I love it, keep ramping it up, more animation, please. She even talks about using a mirror as reference to get human movement right, which
Yeah.
feels like very inside baseball.
But like that's the kind of stuff that like when you do art, you hear stuff like that and then you're like, that's the most obvious thing I've ever heard in my life and I've never thought of it before and it's just changed my life.
Right, like how do I draw a hand picking something up? And it's like, well, if I took a video of my hand picking something up, I could look at that and study how
Yeah.
that works.
Yeah.
But that's when we see the fish transforming into a dinosaur claymation that is from the legacy of very short history of natural resources from 1979. And then, of course, all this momentum is brought to a halt by Fozzie Bear, who says, I want to try tomato animation. All I have to do is mold it right, and I can make the tomato like me, which is the saddest
So
thing
sad.
Fozzie has ever said.
They've leaned into tomatoes a lot in this season so far. Like especially in these
Yeah.
last few episodes, I feel like there's a lot of references to like Maybe even less to this joke telling and more to the fact that tomatoes always hit him, which
Yeah.
I feel like means that tomatoes are real, that those aren't imaginary, right?
There's definitely some things happening in one of these episodes that I want to talk about what's real and what's not, or like, yeah, why is something not switching over to imagination land
Yeah.
when it's just like, okay, why are you're just really doing this? Interesting.
Well, in this episode, Piggy punches Gonzo so hard he turns into clay. Remember that? That was weird.
Well, and this episode does. It's such a strong episode. Probably, if not my favorite, one of my top few favorite episodes we've watched.
Mm-hmm.
But then it does just kind of go off a cliff. Fozzie
Totally weird.
does the tomato joke, and then Gonzo's like, "Ugh, I'm getting tired, guys. I want to quit for the day." And he looks over, and all of his friends are frozen, still images. Because they pulled a prank on Gonzo by drawing realistic full-size versions of themselves.
This has nothing to do with animation, first of all.
Nope.
Second of all, they drew exact replicas of themselves.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be like a little bit of whatever that cartoon is where, Daffy Duck
Yeah,
is getting
Duck Amuck.
drawn. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
By bugs. Like, I thought it was going to be a bit more of that where Gonzo, the animator, went on a break. And so his friends all froze in place. And it's still terrifying.
Yeah,
But
at least
no, it's
thematic.
almost weirder than that.
Yeah. Or like
Bizarre.
or like they like lift up the piece of what's that called? The like clear
Like the
paper, the
cell.
cell.
Yeah.
They lift up the cell and Gonzo is just like, "Well, bye," or something. But
Yeah.
no, instead the replica like the things just fall over and the babies come out and they're like, "We tricked you."
Yeah. And then it pulls out to show the animation table. And he said, "Did they fool you?" And I'm like, "I guess.
I
But
suppose but
why?"
we don't exist in this reality. They always look the same to us.
Yeah. It's that
Sometimes
thing I
they
think
are
we've
just inexplicably standing completely still in the background.
well, we saw them all drawing each other earlier, and they're terrible at drawing. They're babies. And
Yeah.
so the fact that they were able to make full-size replicas of themselves that fooled their friend, where did that power suddenly come from?
Yeah, sometimes it's midnight the night before you have the script due.
Yeah.
You're smoking a million cigarettes because it's 1984 probably at that point, and you just have to write something.
The next episode is from November 23rd, 1985, The Muppet Museum of Art. The audio on this one we watched, if you watched the same link we did, was kind of rough. It's got a lot of VHS warping noise
Mhm.
happening, especially at the beginning.
I think it's charming.
It does take you back a little bit. It's a
Hmm.
nice little nostalgia hit where you're like, oh yeah, we used to just tolerate that a lot.
Like, I mean, I always think, and I probably said before, I used to watch Star Wars on a TV that was like smaller than the computer I'm looking at now, and it was all the way across my bedroom. How
Yeah.
did I know what was happening on Star Wars?
Yeah. I used to play video games on a 12-inch screen.
Yeah.
I actually, Sam, in recent weeks, I've thought about buying like a little CRT TV to put in my
Yeah.
office to hook up like my N64 and Sega to that.
Well, yeah, that's really like I see a lot of people talk about pixel art on Twitter and how the original intent of pixel art was to create things that when it was shown on a CRTV didn't look blocky. So that
Right.
the fact
It
that
blurs
pixel
it a
art
little
always
bit.
looks blocky now is like such a weird not it's not like you're misconstruing what the point of pixel art is, but it's just like it's not what the people who are making pixel art because they had to would have
Right.
done when making pixel art.
It's sort of like when they do a heavy noise reduction on old animated movies, like
Mm,
Disney will do
mhm.
occasionally. And
Yes, and
it's
people get
like,
really mad.
right, because now it just looks like it's super clean,
Yeah,
animated in a computer when it's like, no, it was shot on film 60 years ago. It's
yeah,
supposed to look like that. They knew what it was going to look like.
right.
So I think they would have been okay with some film grain in their animation.
Yeah, especially when they do the passes that like get rid of certain lines and stuff like that.
Yeah,
It's
there's
so
been some, I
weird.
think it was Cinderella, where some of the
Mhm.
lines in her dress just disappeared because they over reduced the noise.
Yeah.
We're not here to talk about that. We're
Anyway,
here
we're
to talk about
dorks.
Muppet Babies playing hockey on roller skates in the nursery. Fozzie's got a banana tied to a ruler for his stick. Gonzo's got a back scratcher.
This made me really sad because just let them go outside. Why can't they just draw
No,
them
Sam.
being in the driveway of Nanny's house playing street hockey instead of being
No.
inside on carpet, I would assume, trying to
Roller
roller
skating
skate
on
around.
carpet does seem quite difficult.
Yeah, but they're good. I mean, they're fun. They're doing a good job, but let them go outside.
But Piggy breaks her stick, and picks up Gonzo to use him as a stick to score the winning goal of the hockey game.
That was pretty good.
And then they very wisely, they show the kids cleaning up after themselves, which I thought was just a nice little moment for the
Vital to
kids
the plot.
watching
No.
to show like, hey, make sure you clean up after yourself. And even Kermit reminds Animal, hey, put your skates away, which does turn out to be vitally important to the plot. Because it's 10 o'clock, which means Nanny's supposed to take them to the art museum now.
That's an early game of hockey that they're playing.
I mean, you're a kid, you probably had breakfast at like 8 or whatever.
Maybe
And
even
so
earlier than that. Yeah.
she's like, hey, the museum doesn't open until 10, so just go, I guess,
Go play
keep
street
yourselves
hockey in
busy.
your room. Yeah.
But this is when Skeeter slips on Piggy's roller skate and hurts her ankle. And we get the saddest little mogwai noises.
That's what. Yeah. That was that. They did sound familiar. Now that you say that,
Just a lot
she
of,
was being Gizmo. Mm-hmm.
and it's just, that's something we'll lose next season with Howie Mandel going away.
Did you instantly know that there was no fucking way they were going to the museum?
Oh, yeah. Like, oh, it's 10 a.m. Nanny's supposed to take us to the art museum today. I'm like, what's about to happen?
Yeah, they're so close.
Oh,
to
it's
going
raining
outside.
again. We can't go outside in the rain.
Isn't the art museum inside, Nanny? Shut
Shut
your
up.
mouth. Don't question Nanny.
Yeah, no, I knew something was going to happen. I didn't realize it would be a kid getting injured. I don't
Yeah.
know that I ever expected to see a Muppet Baby get hurt.
Yeah, because we've seen worse happen to the Muppet Babies, frankly.
Yeah, Gonzo flew through the house in a wagon.
Yeah, and Piggy just picked him up and used his head to hit a ball.
But
So,
apparently you can roll an ankle.
yep. That's the one bone that they all have is just the ankle bone.
But this is when, truly evil behavior we see from Piggy, who puts her skate away very quickly so she doesn't get in trouble, but also takes out Gonzo's skate to throw him under the bus immediately.
Completely unnecessary.
And we get another savage line from Nanny, who says, gee, kids, I was really looking forward to taking you to the art museum today. But now, thanks to your carelessness, Gonzo, we won't be able to go.
Why? Why does she have to do that?
That's worse than when Fozzie thought she was getting rid of him.
Yeah.
This
'cause
is like
she's
throwing him to the
actually
wolves.
being mean. Yeah, and then all the kids are like, yeah, Gonzo, you piece of crap.
She picks one and says he's the villain and leaves the room.
Yep.
What does she think is about to happen? But we do get the sad, hurt Skeeter taken into the living room with Nanny to recover.
It kind of scared me a little bit when Nanny was like, I'm going to take you out of the room. I was like, where are you going?
To me, it was just like, oh, I wonder how often this happens where Nanny picks a favorite for the day. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, Rolf, it's like we saw her before watching TV with Animal.
Right. Yeah.
And it was like, do the other kids also get to watch TV with you? Or is it just like one at a time?
She just likes Animal the best.
Kermit wants to make it up to Nanny because Nanny didn't get to go to the museum, which is a weird plot point. So he decides that they're going to make a museum and hang up a bunch of pictures that they make to make Nanny happy. Because who cares about Skeeter?
Well, Skeeter probably, frankly, didn't want to go to the art museum. So that's fine.
That's true. She hates books. She hates art.
Yeah.
Give her sports.
Uh-huh.
So Rolf remembers that there was an art book in the living room and they need to go get it. But of course, that's where Nanny and Skeeter are, and they can't ruin the surprise for some reason.
They had a couple minutes to fill in this episode is basically
Yeah.
what's happening right now.
It does feel like, why don't you just say, hey, Nanny, can we borrow that art book?
Yeah.
She would have said yes.
Or why don't they already have an art book just in the room, like just for the episode to just move along?
So Animal has to serve as a distraction, which he does a great job because even after Fozzie's tripping over a magazine rack that's just
And, like,
in the middle of the
screaming.
floor,
Yeah.
Nanny's like, what was that noise? And Animal's like, look over here. And I mean, the fact that Animal is more competent than Fozzie is a little worrying.
Yeah. He did pick up that he needed to. Yeah, that's right. He read context clues.
So the first painting they see is Toulouse-Lautrec Jane Avril. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that.
Probably not even close to right what you just said.
Yeah, Jean Avril painting. Basically, the famous Can girl from the Moulin Rouge that Toulouse-Lautrec painted like 1,000 times. But Piggy wants to be her. And the moment I saw Kermit Lautrec, I was like, yep, great episode. We nailed it. Because I just imagine Kermit with the personality
of the character from the movie Moulin Rouge.
Correct. John Leguizamo,
Yeah.
replaced by Kermit, but performed exactly the same in Moulin Rouge.
That is exactly the same thing that flashed through my head too. Is just placing him in that context, and it makes a lot of sense.
Oh man, you could put a Muppet in Moulin Rouge and it would not change that movie one bit.
It would be the no, that would not even be among the top things people talked about in that movie, I would imagine.
Yeah, Kermit could be the Green Fairy.
Yeah. Yeah. That moon comes out and sings. That's almost like a Muppet thing, you know?
Mm.
This part is so like lovingly rendered. It's like they won't draw I'm going outside, but they will draw a
Yeah,
French
right.
bar. They will draw in the style of the guy, Vincent Van Gogh.
I
you
think you
know,
mean
they'll
Vincent Van Gonzo.
Vincent Van Gonzo, yeah. They will like lovingly recreate the artistic. And it's great. I really like
Yeah.
this part, but it doesn't make it weird to me that they wouldn't just draw him outside. What rule do
Yeah.
they have in the style Bible that's like the Muppet Babies aren't allowed to go outside?
Yeah, I'm really curious if we'll ever see them outside of the house. Like at this point, 2 seasons in, it feels like we won't.
Yeah.
But they also have 6 seasons of this show to fill. So at some point, I feel
So
like they're going to be like,
eventually,
"Fuck, let's just take them outside.
can we
They can play
please go
hockey again. Just do it
outside?
outside." But yeah, this part of the show is mostly Piggy trying to find someone to paint a loving portrait of her because she doesn't like the one that Kermit Lautrec does.
Mm-hmm.
So she goes to Pierre Animal Renoir, also doesn't love what he's doing, walks through a bunch of fantastic art, finds Vincent Van Gonzo, who there's a small joke about what happened to your ear because he's got a thing wrapped around his head. And then they remember, oh, yeah, I never had any
I never
ears.
even had ears. Yeah.
So Piggy starts to feel guilty because Vincent Van Gonzo paints a roller skate into his painting.
This part's so weird. How does
Yes.
Gonzo know? So everything that Gonzo paints in this whole episode has a pink roller skate in it, or like every piece of art he creates. How
Yeah,
does he
as he's,
know? He just like subconsciously saw her do it and he just knows.
I don't know, it's like a Doctor Who episode moment because
Uh-huh.
she's like, oh, what is that? How's that get in your painting? And he's like, the phantom roller skate. I never paint it. It just shows up in my paintings.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Odd.
That's not normal.
And there's no explanation for it, and it's actually not even the way that the episode finishes up. It would
Yeah,
make more sense if she was making art and everything she made, she was like, "Oh, I made this art about roller skates again. I don't know why."
yeah, it's very odd because like the roller skate thing is the point of the episode, but
Mm-hmm.
it also is so much like it's lingering in the background and not treated that importantly.
Yeah.
So it's kind of odd that like the only person who really cares about the roller skate thing still is Piggy.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, it makes sense if it was like a Telltale Heart, and it is kind
Yeah.
of,
Yeah.
but the fact that Gonzo is actually making roller skate art is like metaphysical and creepy.
Yeah. And she does get called out at one point because she keeps trying to hide Gonzo's art because it all has the roller skate in it. And
Uh-huh.
Kermit's like, what are you doing? And she's like, trying to keep it out of the sun. And all the babies are just like, okay,
That's nice.
that makes sense. But before that, we see the kids enter Remington Cowpuncher's. No, that's not his name. We see the kids enter Remington's Cowpuncher's Lullaby. Kermit wants to be a cowboy named Butch. And so we just see a series of cowboy paintings.
The cowboy art is a weird one to narrow in on, I guess. But I guess kids like cowboys.
Yeah, and I also
It's a
think,
bit niche, but
yeah, like they also, it's a weird mashing up of stories because it's like a Wild West story. But then Kermit is Butch and Gonzo is the Sundance weirdo, but they're enemies.
they're bad. They're enemies. Doesn't make no sense.
But Gonzo ends up painting Piggy on a horse with a roller skate again. And that's when she hides it behind the TV. And then we get quite a segue where we're looking at the Thinker statue. And Rolf says, I think he's thinking about trying to come up with a good song.
I love that part.
This there's been some bad segues in and out of Rolf songs.
Uh-huh.
This is maybe the weakest,
Yeah.
especially the outro.
Yeah,
But the
what?
intro is just him saying, I think the Thinker's thinking about making a good song. And they start
Rolf, why don't you
singing.
just say you want to sing a song?
He's just scooting his piano into the room a little bit. And they're like,
Yeah.
we know. You don't have to say anything. We know what's about to happen.
Ding, ding, ding. Yeah.
So they sing Art is in Your Heart, a weird, non-doo-wop, sappy song about art that's not fun, but it is fine.
I feel like hidden in this song is an important nugget of like
Mm.
how you should be approaching art. I need to listen to it again, maybe to like really like delve into that. But just the art is in your heart. Even just saying that is like you're not you're not just supposed to look at it and
Right.
see what it is. You're
You
supposed
can
to
also
look.
make
You're
it.
supposed to think about. No, no,
No.
Matt. You're supposed to think about it when you're looking at it too, and like feel. Try to like feel it.
Oh.
I
All right.
think that's what they're trying to say with this song. And I just love that you see all this again, great use of like B-roll with all of this art.
Well, we also see real Muppets
Yeah, that's
uh,
weird.
in famous paintings because these are taken from Miss Piggy's art masterpiece calendar from 1984.
Mm.
So we see a bunch of,
Oh, yeah,
I
okay.
guess not photoshopped, but photoshopped images of Muppet faces in classic paintings like American Gothic and things like that.
Mhm.
So
Adult Muppets.
yes, like the actual adult puppet Muppets.
Yeah, like,
We
do
see
these
multiple
guys
times in these
exist
episodes.
at the same time as the Muppet Babies? Do they
I mean,
not?
just
Who
imagining what they
knows?
look like as adults.
Yeah, I guess so. Which is pretty similar to how they look as babies, with smaller heads slightly.
Less texture.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of the song, Rolf just stands up, runs over to a ball of clay on his piano, and says, "Wow, sculpting clay is fun."
When were you doing that, Rolf?
And I get that, like, we see the kids sculpting a little bit, like, and where they're talking about the thinker, there's a little bit of sculpture happening,
Yeah.
but this is the worst transition in this show by far
Clay
because he's
doesn't enter into the
literally
conversation of this song for sure.
no. And like it happens. I think it's more jarring because it happens in one take. Like
Mhm.
the camera's on a wide shot. Rolf finishes playing his piano and he just immediately stands up, walks around to the side of his piano, grabs the clay, and says, "Wow, sculpting clay is fun." But Gonzo has sculpted Piggy on a roller skate, which Piggy shoves in a bookshelf
I
to
loved
hide
the
it.
animation of her shoving it into the bookshelf. It was so funny. She just like pushes it, and it's so weird and specific that she's shoving it into the bookshelf space,
Mm.
and she like shoves it in there, and then she goes with her butt and like shoves it in the rest of the way, and she's like, "There you go."
Well, because at first I was like, "That's gonna be super heavy," because I thought it had like already hardened.
Uh-huh.
Like it was like a stone statue
That's a
until she
massive amount of clay. That would be extremely heavy.
but she starts scooting it and then she starts fitting it into the bookshelf and I was like, "Oh, okay." And then she just keeps pushing until it fully squishes in and is
Yeah,
completely unrecognizable.
a bizarre moment.
Unlike his computer animation skills, Scooter is a weirdo when it comes to art
Yeah, he likes the
because
weird shit.
he wants to paint like Picasso.
Uh-huh.
And we see lovely Picasso versions of all the Muppet Babies.
I like that Scooter is such a loser too, because he's like trying to paint like Picasso, but painted like a perfect, beautiful painting of a non
Mhm.
abstract woman. And then all of his friends are like, that sucks.
Because all their heads are sideways.
Yeah.
They see the world differently.
Yeah.
Much like Jackson Pollock, who has inspired Animal in this episode, because he sees a big splattery mess and he's like, "That's me. That's my
Uh,
artist." But we don't get, unfortunately, we don't get much of Animal trying out his Pollock skills because it's time to hang up all the paintings for Nanny. It's a very weird episode because it just kind of gets kind of rushed at the end here. But Ralph and
mhm.
Fozzie go pick up Skeeter and place her in a wagon to bring her into the nursery.
Be careful, guys. She's hurt.
Well, and they don't show it. But at some point, she would have had to come down those nursery stairs in that wagon,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
imagine them just violently pulling her
Yeah.
da-dum, 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 down those
Like a
stairs.
real child would do. Yeah.
Absolutely. If you put your friend in a wagon and you see stairs, you're not stopping to think about what's
What would
next.
happen? Yeah. I mean, you are, but only in the way of like, I'm going to do it.
Nanny is impressed by the museum, somehow notices that there's no pictures from Gonzo on the wall, and Gonzo reveals that he has a painting that will reveal the truth about him and Piggy. What did you think was going to be behind that curtain?
I don't know if I had enough time to think about it really,
That's fair.
but he didn't know that the roller skate thing had happened. So
Yeah.
maybe I did think something like this, like a
Yeah.
beautiful painting of them
I thought
smooching
they'd
or
be
something.
smooching. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I thought he'd be in it.
Right.
And it's actually more sad that he's not in it in a way.
Right. The truth about me and Piggy is that she's beautiful and I'm nowhere nearby.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like so genuine. He's not just
Right.
acting out of like a carnal urge. He actually does love and worship her.
But because the picture is so beautiful and sweet, Piggy is overwhelmed and can't stand lying anymore, confesses her roller skate crime, and ends up smooching Gonzo so that he'll forgive her.
And again, this picture is perfectly drawn. Like
Hmm.
it is the cartoon version of Piggy. So in real life, you'd be like, this baby is a damn genius.
Right. It's not the stick
We're gonna be
figures we saw in
rich.
previous drawing
Right.
attempts. It is Miss Piggy in like a Southern Belle dress.
Yeah, again, he's designed a beautiful dress for Piggy. He did that when he connected the dots too,
That's
remember?
true.
Yeah. Dude is a talented fashion designer. But it just chapped my hide so much that nanny didn't say, Piggy, that was fucked up what you did. Like this is when she
She does
learned that it
nothing.
was okay to be conniving, I think, like in the rest of her life.
Yeah,
No
Piggy should be at
consequences.
least scolded, if not
Mm,
punished in some way.
yeah. And then to make it even worse, Skeeter is like, I should have been watching where I was going. And
Yeah.
what's Gonzo supposed to take away from all of this?
Which
That if
is,
you're hot,
yeah.
there's no consequences for anything.
Which is like, I feel like we've had problems like this on Fraggle Rock from time to time where they try to teach a lesson and they end up teaching basically like, yeah, look where you're going, fool. And it's like,
Yeah.
wait, that's not the lesson though. The lesson is
Yeah.
the people who were doing bad stuff shouldn't have been doing bad
I
stuff.
guess in 1985, lessons were a little different in a bad way, but Piggy should have gotten in huge trouble for planting evidence. She committed perjury.
Well, the next episode is By the Book from November 30th, 1985. This one is written by a couple other people. It's
I
written by Barry
noticed that.
O'Brien and Bob Smith.
I
And I
don't think
think
this is the first episode written by somebody else, but maybe it is.
maybe, I don't remember, but I hope this is the last one written by these guys.
This is probably the thinnest episode of Muppet Babies, like one of the thinnest episodes that we've
Yeah.
watched, I feel like.
I don't know that I even have much to say about this episode
I don't think,
because
yeah,
there's very little that happens. Uh,
yeah.
the kids are peeping through the peephole to see what the nursery looks like now that it's been painted. This moment felt extremely familiar to me. Like I had seen this
Ah,
episode. Most of the
uh-huh.
episode did not. Like I didn't remember the rest of it. But the moment of the kids standing by the peephole talking about the nursery being painted felt extremely familiar. So
Ah,
I'm,
interesting.
I'm sure I saw this as a kid. But yeah, I don't think they did anything to the nursery when they changed it.
No, it wasn't a different color, subtly or anything, I don't think.
I don't think so. The only thing I noticed, and this has probably happened in past episodes and I just didn't notice because I wasn't looking for it, their window, like their nook that they hang out in,
Hmm.
there's a couple shots where the nook is sort of gone, like it's just a flat wall with a window. But
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
think that's a permanent change, and that's also not what painters
Not
do.
what a painter would,
So
yeah, not the domain of painter.
I think that's just like a background simple animation thing where they just
Uh-huh.
like sometimes simplify the nook. But
Yeah, that was so weird that it's clearly wallpapered,
yeah.
first of all,
Yeah, there's like
unless
a
that's
square
a
pattern over everything.
painted design on her wall, which would be absurd.
Unnecessary.
Yeah, but also not even the banister. Make the banister pink. I don't. Maybe it is pink. I don't know, but
Yeah. Yeah, it felt like maybe the animators were like, "Hey, we don't like the way we animate the show. Can we change something?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure, we'll do an episode about it. So change whatever you want." And then they didn't change anything.
or the writers did something that I've had a little bit of experience with, where they write something basically impossible, where you're
Mm.
like, we'll have to repaint every scene that we've ever painted for this whole show.
Right.
We can't repaint the walls of the nursery, but there's
Yeah.
no conversation between those two
Or it's going to
departments.
cost $50,000 to
Yeah,
repaint it, and they're like, "Oh,
yeah,
never mind."
yeah. But they could have put a gel on it or something. I guess I
Yeah.
don't know. They could have done something, but
Even just like add some little sparkles to make it look like it's new and different.
yeah, yeah.
But nope.
Then they walk in and the babies also instantly realize nothing has changed because they don't mention it at all. They don't go, "Ooh, nice."
No, they just get immediately bored out of their mind because all their
Yeah,
toys are
where's
gone.
our toys?
And Nanny's like, "Here's some picture books." And Skeeter says, "Fuck books."
For no reason, and starts doing jumping jacks.
Yeah, she
And all
suddenly,
of her friends are like worried about her.
but they're only worried for like a second because then Kermit's like, "Let me tell you the tale of Robin Hood."
Along the way, they do say, "We can't read," and Nanny
Yeah.
says, "Peace."
She does though when she says she's bringing out the box. She says like the box of picture books. I think
Okay,
so.
okay.
She
They do say that they
references
can't read though, right?
yes,
Hmm.
yeah. There's a couple of moments in here too where it is like, are they reading? Where are they getting this information from? Are they just
They just
recounting
know the
things that they've been
stories, I
told?
suppose. Yeah.
But yeah, Fozzie's Friar Tuck, Kermit's Robin Hood, Gonzo's the Sheriff of Nottingham. Kermit at one point says the story takes place 500 BC, which is I was thrown off. But then he clarifies 500 years before cowboys because Gonzo is dressed as a cowboy sheriff.
Oh, is that right though?
I think it's more like 700 years before cowboys.
Okay.
Because I looked up, basically Robin Hood's supposed to be set in the 1100s
Mm.
and cowboys were in the late 1800s.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Also, I did find out in looking at the Wild West was only a 30-year span, Sam.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know how that was the first thing that came up on Google. Maybe it was AI. Maybe they were lying to me. I trusted it because I didn't care that much. But according to that Google result, the Wild
Hmm.
West only lasted 30 years, which
Hmm.
is less than we've been alive. So it's like there was this weird trend happening in the world where it's like,
Yeah.
there's a bunch of guys out there just dressing up like cowboys.
And it made such an impression on culture. Like the
Yeah.
percentage of movies made about the Wild West is so much larger than it should be
Right.
for how much time it took up.
Yeah, I feel like John Wayne probably spent more years making cowboy movies than there were actual cowboys.
Like if you lined up all the cowboy movies that have ever been made at that set in that time period, you might almost have 30 years worth of movies to watch,
Oh,
you know?
probably. That's all they were making for a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, don't know about the validity of that claim, but
But this is a
I'll
Muppet
repeat it.
podcast, so go
You
listen
don't
to a
come here for
cowboy
cowboy
podcast, I
news.
guess. Yeah.
There's probably cowboy
I
podcasts.
bet there must be. Yeah, there's probably all kinds of them. Teach how to be a cowboy, talk about the history of cowboys.
Well, the story just kind of abruptly ends when
The story's
Skeeter,
nothing. The
yeah,
story's nothing.
Skeeter catapults them because the story is silly, and she
Yeah.
apparently hates her friends now.
Yeah. So she like ruins their playtime and they're like, "Why did you do that?" And
She
she's
pulls
like,
an animal, but even worse because she knows exactly what she's doing.
"Yeah, totally.
But then it's time for Wizard of Oz, where Piggy is telling the story of Pigorothy,
I hate that.
the word.
Pigorothy, I hate. Yeah.
Hmm.
Why did they do that?
So you're doing exactly what they do in the show, where Fozzie's just like, huh?
What? Yeah.
Well, Pigorothy is driving her RV with her dog Rolf,
Rolf.
but a terrible storm blows their RV onto presumably the witch. We don't
Yeah,
get a lot
we
of
don't know
details
which
in this
baby
one.
it is that gets
I
killed.
thought for sure it was Skeeter
Yeah. Skeeter would be the natural fit for that role.
because Scooter flies in looking like a Magic Koopa.
He does exactly look like a Magic Koopa. I got excited when I saw him. And so did Miyamoto. This is where
He got the idea.
Yeah.
But this is he says that they got rid of the most evil person in Oz.
Yeah.
And when you have, in the Wizard of Oz, a witch comes down and says, "Hey, you got rid of the evil witch." And you have Scooter come down to say, "You got rid of the most evil person in Oz."
Uh-huh.
I assumed he was talking
Yeah.
about Skeeter because she was ruining their playtime.
Oh yeah, that would have made sense. You don't want to necessarily kill one of the Muppet Babies,
Which I
but
think is why they probably pulled back. I feel like the
right.
original idea was Skeeter's the evil witch that got killed by the RV. But then
Yeah.
they were like, we can't do that.
Yeah. Maybe a child getting crushed by a big vehicle is not fun. And they were right. But I like
Yeah.
that Scooter's the silly sorcerer of the South. He's really, that's like a role he was born to play, I feel like.
He does a good job at it.
He does.
Well, then the Kermit Scare Frog, Fozzie the Cowardly Comic, and Gonzo the Tin Weirdo come over the hill because they're on their way to see the wizard.
This segment was actually pretty fun. I liked that Kermit wants a new job instead of like a brain because he's not scary. And I love the two crows who just are fucking with him the whole time. I thought that was a really good conceit.
Yeah, it's a good twist. And because like Fozzie's cowardly thing is sort of just so he's not afraid of tomatoes flying at his face.
Yeah.
And Gonzo just needs a new nose.
Which is also kind of cute. But
yeah, but the new job thing is much better.
yeah.
Interestingly, these are the same roles that the three of them will have 20 years later
Wow.
in the Muppets Wizard of Oz.
Does he call himself the Tin Weirdo?
He's the Tin Thing.
Oh, Tin Weirdo's way better.
I disagree. I think Tin Thing is way better.
Tin Woodsman, Tin Weirdo?
But the Tin
Makes more
Man
sense.
is what they call him.
Tin Woodman. That'd be funny if that was your
Hello,
name.
I
huh?
am Tim Woodman.
Tim Woodman.
Oh, hi, I'm Jeremy Kermit. Nice to meet you.
There's got to be somebody out there named Tim Woodman. I'm sure.
Oh,
there must be.
that seems like a very common name.
Yeah.
I just Googled Tim Woodman.
Yeah.
There seems to be both a professor at Bangor University and a porn star.
Oh, that's a really good porn star name. Professor Tim Woodman.
He is not the porn star, although he does teach at Banger University, which sounds like a school in a porn.
All right. Well,
Clearly, we don't have a lot to say about
nope.
this episode
They
because we
get
keep getting
the.
distracted.
Then they go. They go to the wizard.
Well, they
Basically,
go to
they
the
sing a
wizard
song. They sing a song.
via song. Someone's Gotta Fix It is the song they're singing instead of We're Off to See the Wizard. A song that's kind of barely about the plot of the episode.
Oh, but yeah. I mean, it's about kind of about the Wizard of Oz, which this would have been a good, just like the Alice in Wonderland one. This should
Mm,
have maybe just been all the Wizard of Oz. That would have been fun. Or
yeah,
The Snow White episode. Like,
right.
just do the Wizard of Oz. You're doing a great job.
There is what seems like maybe a first draft lyric that stayed in the song till the end here,
Uh huh.
where Kermit sings, "We're victims of circumstance," and Piggy says, "Thrown together by chance."
Yeah, maybe kids don't know those words.
You don't need the words "victims of
Like,
circumstance" in your fun Wizard of Oz song.
yeah.
And again, much like the Skeeter potentially being the one who was crushed by the RV, during this song, it feels like they're teasing a villain or like something might show
Right.
up and make it more
The Wicked Witch of
interesting.
the West does not show up in any capacity in
There is
this.
no conflict whatsoever
Yeah. Even when
because,
they get to the wizard's just like, "Hi, I'm just Bunsen. I was in a
yeah,
Halloween costume."
he looks like sort of a weird alien version of Figment from Disney World.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And he just immediately unzips his costume, says who he is, and that he has a machine to solve all their problems.
He's got a going home, new nose, new job, new courage machine.
On brand. But it mostly just puts people into giant bubbles that
Yeah.
explode, and then all their problems are solved.
Like gachapon bubbles, like vending machine ones, you know?
Yeah,
And
like a
then
super monkey ball, but with Kermit inside.
exactly, and then Gonzo pops out and says, "A new blue honker." Which is
And
really
Kermit's a
good.
crossing guard now.
Yep.
But Flying Animal Monkey, nope. Flying Monkey Animal tries to
Mhm.
ruin everything by flying up and biting the hot air balloon that Pig Orothy and Rolf are in. And that's kind of it, because he bites the
Yeah.
hot air balloon,
And
and
they all
it,
go tumbling.
yeah. And we cut back to the nursery where Skeeter still sucks.
Well, so they do say, "Skeeter, why didn't you play?" So they probably, like, even I guess you could argue in the fiction of the show, they were setting it up so that Skeeter any minute could swoop in and say, "I'm the evil witch."
Right. But like, my problem with that is that when they finish up the Wizard of Oz thing, Animal ruins the playtime this time in a very animal way, which that made
Uh-huh.
sense. But they
Right.
finish up, and it's like you could have kept it going where Skeeter ruins two of your stories in a row and then
Right.
decides to join in the third.
That would
But
have
instead,
been something instead of
right,
nothing.
Skeeter ruins the first one, doesn't care at all about the second one.
Uh-huh.
And in between the two stories, they ask her, like, what's going on? And she's like, I still want to exercise instead of read.
Yeah.
And they don't try to convince her again or nothing. It's just like, okay, that didn't move
Yeah.
the plot forward at all.
And sometimes I feel like we're just being very nitpicky about stuff.
Absolutely.
But also at the same time, it's like, how do you how did they how did you write it this way instead of the way that is easier almost than the
Right.
way you did it?
Well, and I think it's, it's one of those things where if every episode of Muppet Babies was terrible,
Uh-huh.
we would maybe adjust our expectations.
Yeah.
But because we just enjoyed the previous two episodes,
Yeah.
we can see why this one doesn't work as well as those.
Yeah. Especially when it's about a similar thing where it's like, here's a form of art that
Yeah.
you can enjoy and here's how to enjoy it.
Yeah. But instead we get Scooter Pan, where poor
That's a
Scooter
bad set of words too. I don't like that. It reminds me of like what you maybe that would be like an invention to clean a cat box or something, you know? The scooter pan.
the Scooter Pan. I mean, he's also joined by Piggy Bell instead of Tinker
Yeah.
Bell, which is not
That's a
much
little
better.
that's a little better.
But then this is when Skeeter just randomly shows up and is like, hey, this story needs help. And says she's going to be a second Peter Pan named Skeeter Pan, which, to be fair,
Makes a lot more sense and is a better. Maybe they should have gone back and made Scooter the one who didn't want to play the game.
yeah, because Skeeter Pan is the perfect wordplay.
Uh-huh.
But I don't, I feel like they got Wizard of Oz, they got Robin Hood, they understand those stories.
Uh-huh.
I don't think these kids have ever seen or read or heard about Peter Pan.
No. I don't think so either. Because he grants wishes. It
They're
brings teddy
elves
bears
who
to
grant
life.
wishes.
Yeah.
It's very odd. that this
Yeah.
is the twist they put on Peter Pan is that they're elves who grant wishes for some reason. And then they take them to Forever Everland, where they're confronted by Captain Hooknose, an animal gator.
And
Yep.
then I think the episode's over, right?
Yeah, because then Skeeter goes, you know what? Books are pretty cool. I like books now for
Yep.
some reason because we talked about Peter Pan for 2 minutes and now I like books.
I actually can't remember why I didn't like them because I never said.
But then the painters bring the toys back, including Fozzie's Mr. Tomato Head. But the kids, of course, are predictably super bummed out
Yep.
because they don't like toys anymore. They just want Nanny to read them a story. And she chooses the worst book that's
What was
just
it?
a picture of a dog on one page and a
Oh, and a
picture of a cat
cat
on another
on another
page.
page. We're way beyond that reading level of comprehension, Annie.
You say that, Sam. But while she's got it open on her lap, Skeeter reaches up, points at the picture of the cat, and says, "What does that word say?"
Well, maybe that's why, maybe she just has some comprehension issues.
I mean, they got to go back to square one. Of picture of a cat is not a word.
I wish that all the kids had gotten their own toy jokes because I liked
Yeah.
Mr. Tomato Head.
That's the thing. They probably thought, like, oh, we'll do this great bit. All the kids get a toy that's very distinct to their personality. And they thought of Mr. Tomato Head, and they get, I think we're out of the best ideas.
I don't
So
know anymore, actually.
let's go home. Well, in the last episode we watched, the last episode of season 2 of Muppet Babies is When You Wish Upon a Muppet from December 7th, 1985. Written by Mr. Chuck Lorre.
Oh, wow. I did not notice that.
Yes, the man who is, I'm sure, a billionaire at this point because he made 2.5 Men and The Big Bang Theory and Young Sheldon and 1,000 other successful sitcoms.
Yeah.
Well, this episode kicks off with the kids pretending they're at a carnival with a gonzo nose ring toss. Rolf's a carny.
Rolf's a natural carny.
He's
He
pretty
fits
good
into
at
the
it.
carny lifestyle perfectly.
Yeah, because then we see Scooter and Skeeter also being carnies, running a throw the tomato at the bear booth,
Yeah.
which
This
is
part's
nothing.
This part's so sad. Well, it's like a combination of a dunk tank. Well, there's I think in carnivals there used to be games where you just throw baseballs at people. I'm pretty
At
sure that was a
people?
thing. I think so.
Not at a dunk tank, like at the
I
humans.
think you just throw it at people. I'm pretty sure.
That, I mean, what's the game?
Well, it was probably like 1910, so they didn't know what else
Was
to
it like
do.
a sad freak show thing where they were like, throw a baseball at the bearded lady?
I think it was back when carnivals were really like a big form of like seedy entertainment, where they
Right.
weren't really they were on the edge of town and there was all kinds of stuff going on.
Hmm.
But this part's so sad because Kermit is like, I don't want to throw a tomato at Fozzie, and they're like, you're gonna want to. We're gonna make you hate him so much, but he
Which
never
is,
does. Actually,
yeah. Well, that's interesting because I think we've even said before that Fozzie would say Kermit is his best friend, but Kermit may not say Fozzie is his best friend.
yeah, but Kermit literally says he's my best friend.
Yeah, he says he doesn't want to throw a tomato at Fozzie because he's his best friend.
Yeah.
But Scooter says, we worked it out so you'll want to throw a tomato at him.
That rules.
Well, and I had no idea what that could mean. I was like, are they going to roast Kermit? Are they going to make Fozzie cruel enough that Kermit would lash out?
That would be funny.
But really, it's just Fozzie's going to come out and tell jokes. So nothing special. And Kermit resists the temptation to throw a tomato at him.
Yep.
And even says, if Fozzie told the worst joke in the world, I won't throw a tomato at him.
He believes in his friend.
Yeah, but then Fozzie immediately slips and falls face first into the tomato, which is
Kermit's
really
hand holding the tomato.
not what you want when you're standing up for your friend.
No.
You're like, you know what, guys, we should respect Fozzie more. He is worthy of our respect. He is our good friend. Oh, and he slipped face first into a tomato that I was holding. All right. Well, Animal has a game too, and of course, Piggy is super dismissive of Animal every single time and is like, you're too young to make a game, you dumb baby.
And he invents a great game, actually, a game that they play at carnivals.
Yeah, he has like a claw machine game where people are fishing for prizes out of a random box he got from the closet.
They're just like, that's a box of old garbage Nanny's going to throw away.
Which, there is a book in that box that has the Muppet Babies logo on the cover of it.
Oh, creepy. Don't let them see that.
It's just their future. It tells them their future in a book.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
'Cause
either
yeah.
the show Bible or it's like an instruction manual on how to create and raise these little things. All the answers are in that book, and Nanny's throwing
Yeah.
it away.
It's her official report.
Uh-huh.
It's, "Oh, so the 7th version of Gonzo is doing pretty well.
Yeah,
The
he's
previous
less of a
6."
sex pest than the other ones. We just gotta make him sadder. We need a sadder Gonzo.
We'll invent new sex pest Muppets in the future.
Yeah, we'll have plenty of sex pest Muppets. Don't you worry about that.
Yeah. Just wait until Muppets Tonight. We've got plans. Well, Kermit pulls an old genie lamp out of the box of prizes. I looked it up, Sam. These have oil in them, and you light the little genie spout part, and the flame burns on that.
Oh, okay. Okay. Doesn't seem like it would burn very long, but what do I know?
I mean, nothing about lamps. But they decide it might be a magic lamp because it does look just like every lamp in every story of Aladdin.
I honestly thought maybe it would actually be a magic lamp.
This is the one I was thinking about that. Like, it's wild that this one doesn't switch into the imagination world sooner
Yeah.
or really at all for most of it,
Yeah.
because I thought for sure we were going to retell the story of Aladdin
Mm-hmm.
with the Muppets where they were getting wishes and everything. But mostly it's just all happening for real.
I do think the conceit of they all wish for their deepest wish is a fine idea, but
Yeah,
it
we
plays
learn
out
more
kind of
about the Muppets.
boringly, I suppose, but fine
They
in
also
theory.
set up they also set up some rules right away, where Rolf says that genies will grant one wish.
Flying in the face of everything that a child would know about genies, I'd assume.
But I do like that they get one wish each. That's a
Yeah.
nice twist on it. So Piggy rubs the lamp. Animal shows up as the genie. He's been waiting for this. Clearly, this was his plan all along, was
Yeah.
to play
He does a
genie.
really great job. He even has it like the eraser thing all figured out. He just knows this is his fantasy for some reason.
But yeah, Piggy wishes to travel the world in a big, beautiful boat. This is when we switch into the imagination world and we see a giant pink cruise ship, which Fozzie fully speed twos into New
That's what
York
I wrote
City.
too. He speed 2 cruise controls it right through New York.
And Skeeter, who is once again playing a cop,
Cop. She just
comes
loves
in
to
to
be
give
a
them a ticket
cop.
for parking in a no boat parking spot.
She loves to be a cop enough that I'm surprised that in that comic about her, they didn't make her like the comic where she came back. She wasn't a cop.
Yeah,
She could
that'd
have
be
been a
upsetting.
detective, like in a police detective or
Okay, I'd be
something.
more okay with her being a detective.
Yeah,
But if in the future Skeeter just became a cop, that'd
yeah,
be a bummer.
yeah. That's true. An adventurer is better, but she's such a stick in the mud that like I don't
I
know.
feel like she'd also, come back and arrest some of her old friends because
Yeah,
they have not
she
been the
does.
best citizens.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like maybe we're gonna learn a lot about Skeeter in the next, like, eventually something. Well, like, I just don't know who she is yet, really. Like, sometimes she's a sports
Mm.
person. Mostly, she's just crabby and mean, though.
But she's not always, because sometimes she is the main one in their little plays that they put on. Like she gets to
That's
be
true.
part of the fun,
Mm-hmm.
and then other times for some reason she is just not wanting
The
to read for
Killjoy,
some
the
reason.
Killjoy cop.
Yeah, Fozzie wishes to be funny and make jokes in the movies. So Piggy tries to stop this from happening. And in doing so, she tries to jump in between the erasers that Animal is banging
Oh
together to
yeah,
cause the wishes to come true.
right.
And this is when Nanny comes in and is like, "What's going on?" And they're like, "We're making wishes for the genie." And she goes, "Oh, so you rub Piggy's nose with erasers to make a wish, right?" And they're like, No,
No.
no, not really." And she goes, "I hope all your wishes come true."
Like,
And she walks away.
I don't have the emotional, like, I can't. I just can't do this today, kids. I'm sorry.
Well, Fozzie does get his wish, and instead of he just kind of becomes a criminal in a movie being chased by 100 police.
So many police are chasing him. He must have done something really, really bad.
And the babies are going to help him, so they join the movie, but they all become
They're
cops.
also police, and I don't quite understand what happens after this.
I don't quite understand why this is happening in this episode at all.
Exactly, yeah.
The episode's about making wishes.
Well, I mean, it could be like the classic genie makes your wish come true, but it's like a twisted version of it. But that's not what they're doing.
Oh man, now I just want Animal to be like, "Monkey's paw, monkey's paw."
Yeah. Animal's paw is just like, he's like, yeah.
Well, look, this is when I realized of like this is the season finale, and they made a poor choice because that cartoon episode should have been the season finale.
Yeah, this one ends like maybe a season finale would end, but
Yeah.
not in a great way.
No. But at this point, we get stubborn Kermit, indecisive Kermit, who cannot
Yeah.
decide what he wants to wish. So instead of that, a song happens called Wishes Have a Way.
This Kermit, it does make more sense for Kermit to be like, I gotta make the perfect wish instead
Oh,
of I
yeah.
don't know what to wish for. This feels more in line with him just being like, I can't imagine enough to imagine what I'd wish for. Instead, it's like,
Yeah.
I just want it to be the best wish I can make for everybody.
Well, and where he lands with it is perfect. So I feel
Yeah.
like maybe that should have been the plot of the whole episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like from the beginning, maybe Kermit was the first one asked for his wish and he couldn't
Right.
decide. But this is kind of introduced later on in the episode.
Mm-hmm.
So instead, we get a sort of sappy song, kind of like the art one. But I don't. The animation in this one's really cool because they're like flying around in lamps. And
Uh-huh.
at one point, there's a lyric about don't wish for animals unless you own a zoo because
I
wishes
wrote
have a
that
way of
down
coming
too.
true.
I thought that's so close to like really good advice or something. Like, don't
it,
wish for elephants unless you own a zoo. Sounds like something your grandpa would say to you. And you'd be like, you're right, grandpa. And then after he passed away, you'd be like, what the fuck
what
was
the
he talking about?
Yeah, because it is a little bit of like, be careful what you wish for,
Yeah. It
but
just
in
sounds
an
so
old timey kind
folksy.
of way.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't know what it was about that line that we both connected with, but clearly something.
But yeah, that was I thought I liked when they were flying around in there. There was like impressive like uh some impressive like perspective stuff happening when they
Mm.
were flying around in their little lamps too.
Well, and Piggy has like a pink frilly lamp
Uh-huh.
jet, whatever it is.
Yeah.
The only problem with that line that connected with us, Sam,
What?
you know what the next thing that happens is after this song?
Skeeter wishes for a pony?
Correct.
Yeah.
Immediately wishes for an
You don't need a
animal.
zoo to have a pony. And they do say don't wish for elephants unless you own a
They
zoo.
say animals, I thought.
I think they say elephants, Matt.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
gonna
I'll give
argue
him
with you
that.
there. And a pony is like one of the few exceptions to that rule. A pony, a pig, a goat, a horse, a
You
dog, a
need,
cat, a gerbil.
I am going to disagree about almost all of those.
You don't need a zoo. You need a ranch.
Right, but they don't have a ranch either.
You are allowed to own those animals in the United States of America. No one's going to come and say, that horse, you don't own a zoo. Why do you have a horse? You know?
I can't keep a horse in my house.
No, but you could keep one in your yard. It would just be a really sad horse.
Be a sad horse.
But it would be your American given right to have that horse, Matt.
I feel like Missoula's probably got some city ordinances against keeping a horse on your property.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Actually, you don't. In Butte, you can have a horse wherever you want. Town where I grew up. So maybe that's what I'm
You
thinking
can
of.
just go down Main Street on a horse while you're drinking your open canister of beer.
I mean, honestly, you could probably do that that's probably like a state. That's probably in the Constitution.
I have seen an alpaca outside of a Missoula bar
Oh
before.
yeah. I've been in a bar with a goat before, so
Montana, folks.
yeah, it's fun. The pony's fucking weird though, because the pony is a motorcycle pony with a steering
Yeah, she gets like a
wheel.
robot pony
Yeah.
that she controls with a steering wheel, and then that just kind of
I
ends.
just realized why they did that. Probably they didn't want to draw the pony's legs moving.
Yeah, they're like, you want us to draw a whole horse? That's got 4 legs. No.
You mean one of the hardest things to draw? How about we draw it as a robot whose legs don't move?
But isn't it races against other horses? So there's like 10 real horses on the screen.
Then I'll have to go back and look and see if they're reusing and recoloring that animation or something. They
Maybe
drew
it's
one.
cropped so they don't see legs.
No, they definitely are shorter than all the other horses.
Yeah, I think we see legs.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Well, it's Kermit's turn to make a wish again, so Piggy tries to wish for him because he's still indecisive and suggests wishing that they get married and live happily ever after. And Kermit says, no, that's not happening, and tries to shut that down real quick. And when pressed for why, he says, well, why wish for something that's going to happen anyway?
That's like adult Kermit and Piggy could have that same conversation.
Yeah, that's a pretty good cover.
Yeah.
So Gonzo uses his wish for a kiss from Piggy. And so we see a giant Piggy.
Yeah, there's something going on in this part that I'm not really comfortable with.
I need to go back and check because maybe he said he wants a big kiss from Piggy.
Oh, that could be.
And so he got a monkey's paw scenario where a giant piggy picks him up and blows him
Yeah.
away with a blowing him a kiss,
That
but
could make sense.
I don't remember hearing that, but that would make at least more sense than what happens.
Uh-huh. Yeah, what happens is uncomfortable, honestly.
Yeah, it's a little bit like, like when the big lady from Resident Evil came out and everyone was like, "Ooh,
Exactly.
we like that big lady."
The big lady was all right, in my opinion. She wasn't too big.
Well, I think Gonzo was maybe okay with the size of Big Piggy. But Kermit's finally ready for his wish, and he wishes for the characters to stay together and make movies and TV shows when they grow up. And cuts to a clip, a weirdly picked clip.
Not the clip I would have chosen for this.
Nope, but cuts to the moment in the Great Muppet Caper where the characters are trying to figure out how to get Piggy out of jail, and then she pulls the bars apart.
Yeah, it's like
So
intercut with shots of Piggy in jail. And if you had never seen that movie, I wouldn't think you'd be more inclined to be interested in the Muppets afterwards.
right, because it's the weird part where they're all talking about like ways to break her out, and she's she's tired of waiting for them, and so she just breaks herself out of jail.
Yeah.
And that is a very weird part for Kermit to like imagine as their future movie making experience.
A lot of characters who aren't Muppet Babies also. Like no line from Gonzo, no line from Rolf.
No, we see New Zealand in the background, which has got to
Yeah.
be like, the kids looking at his imagination being like, when do we meet
Oh.
that guy?
We hear Pops talk. We hear Zoot talk more than Zoot's ever talked. Like this is the most lines Zoot has had in the history
hearing
of
Zoot
anything.
talk on the Muppet Babies is kind of weird.
Yeah. So I think I would have probably picked, and maybe they didn't have the rights to all of the movies, but
I mean, they got Star Wars and Indiana Jones. I have to imagine
and you're
they
working
got,
for Jim, so Jim probably could have worked something out.
yeah.
I think I would have picked probably the end of the Muppet movie when they're
Yep.
like when they're
When
like
they're
pushing
building the
stuff around,
sets.
building
Yeah.
a set and making a movie.
When they're making a movie.
Yeah, and everybody is there who is in
Yeah.
Muppet Babies. I
Yeah.
think would have
No,
been
it's
the best one.
a weird clip, but I liked it, while I also equally thought it was weird that this was the clip they chose.
I just would love to know what the thought process there was, but
Yeah. I know, because it's not even the most recent movie. Like,
no, it's not
Muppets
the
Take
movie the
Manhattan.
Muppet Babies appear in.
Right, yeah.
They could have done the Right Where I Belong little clip or something like that. And then Kermit gets real meta and he's like, looks right in the camera and says, I think it's got a pretty good chance of happening. Because we exist simultaneously with the adult versions of ourselves. We actually came after the adult versions of ourselves in the defiance of God and the laws of nature.
Well, the go bye-bye in this episode is Genie Animal floating above his lamp and then just getting sucked back into the lamp for 10,000 years of sleep.
He needs it. He's so tired.
And that does it for Muppet Babies Season 2.
Good riddance to you.
I think it's coming back around. I feel like we're going to enjoy Season 3 more than we enjoyed the other seasons.
Yeah, there's some show, I don't know, some podcast, I can't remember what it is, where they watch the first episode of a show and the last episode of a show.
Oh, right, yeah.
I think I mentioned that before. And that is what's keeping me going is like I'm so curious to see what lessons they learn, or if they don't learn any lessons, to really think about why they didn't learn any lessons from making this show.
I mean, yeah, because there is a certain element of kids TV where you want to be able to syndicate it and air it out of order later on.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want too big of a
Sure.
swing
I don't
as
need
far as the story
serialized.
goes.
I just need them to go outside for once in my life. I want to see them
I
be in the sunshine.
I've got hope, Sam. I think we'll see the Muppet Babies outside at some point.
Okay. I don't have any hope, but I'd love to see it.
Well, before we get out of here, Sam, got to ask you, what non-Muppet things did you enjoy this week?
I only really saw the Oscar nominated short form documentary and short form animation programs at our local theater, the Roxy. And I didn't like any of the animation that much this year. Last year, did you see them? Have you ever watched those
I don't usually watch those.
Last year, there's a great one called My Year of Dicks, which was it was like an FX serialized, like, I think it would, in between commercials or something, they would play like
Okay.
these shorts, and it was so good. This year, there wasn't anything that stood out as much to me, but there was the documentary one. A lot of those were just okay, but the last one was called The Last Repair Shop, and it was about the people who repair the instruments for the kids who go to the LA County schools like that are in the LA County school system who play
Right.
instruments. So it was interviews with kids who are like, this violin is all I have in my life, or just like I'm gonna go to college because I got this trombone, and then the people and their lives. It's like 4 different people who work there, and it was so good. I was crying like a baby.
Hmm.
So I don't even know how you watch it, but
It's on Disney Plus, I believe. I saw the poster for it when I was looking for something to watch last night because the poster is amazing. Like I don't even know really what like they went so hard on the
yeah.
poster for this. But yeah, you can watch it on Disney Plus or Hulu.
Oh yeah, the poster's like a
It's a
Indiana Jones painting or something, right?
Drew Struzan style.
Yeah. Um,
Who he's retired, so I don't think he would have done this, but clearly they told an artist they want his kind of style on this
yeah.
poster.
It's also beautifully shot,
Mm.
and yeah, it's like 40 minutes long. So just like a little documentary. But man, it was like I was weeping. It was so good. How about you?
Well, speaking of Disney Plus, the reason I was on there is because I was trying to figure out what I wanted to watch last night, and we ended up watching Mulan, the
Oh,
animated one from
uh-huh.
1998.
How was it?
Holds up.
That's
It's
a fun one. I've watched that recently too.
I hadn't watched it in quite a while, and was just kind of craving some nostalgic Disney vibes last night.
Hmm.
We were trying to decide between Mulan or Atlantis, and we landed on Mulan.
I've never seen Atlantis.
You'd like Atlantis, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Atlantis would be. It's. I think it's not as good of a movie as Mulan, but I think it is funnier than Mulan.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the story of Mulan is more interesting. But yeah, other than Mulan, I watched some Project for Awesome this weekend.
Oh yeah.
I watched a lot of that of you drinking gross stuff on the internet.
Yep. I'm sorry I said Sarah is my favorite co-host.
You did.
I was
Yeah.
sucking it up in the moment.
Yeah, and the thing, Sam was live streaming with Sari Riley, his co-host on Sideshow Tangents, and they were joking about Hank not being there, and
Yeah.
so
I
Sam
was
said,
mostly thinking of between her and Hank and
"Oh,
not between her
I
and
know
you.
what you were thinking," but you said, "Yeah, Sarah, you're my favorite co-host," and I
Yeah.
was watching in this moment, and
And
so I
crying. You cried a
jumped
tear.
in to quickly donate some money so I could get my name in the system as Matthew Gatos, Sam's other favorite co-host.
And you contributed the Grape Muppet Caper as the name of one of our drinks, which was great.
Yeah. Me and somebody else in the chat thought of that at the exact same
Oh,
time, and it was an
wow.
amazing experience where, like, in the chat, you saw 2 people, like, back to back say the Grape Muppet Caper, and then other guy was just like, "Wow." Like, he just, like,
Oh.
responded like, "Wow, look at us. Like, we did that."
But
And I texted it to
you
you to make sure
texted it
you
to
really
me.
knew about it.
You texted to me. This other person doesn't have my phone number.
No, I took
You
advantage
do.
of that situation, and it was like,
Yeah.
"This name is too good to be ignored."
That was fun. It was fun doing that. I think you can probably still watch it if you need to see me doing that for some reason.
Yeah, I think
But
it's probably available, maybe not by the time this episode's coming out, but there will probably
eventually.
be a recap of the Project for Awesome
Yeah.
that'll come out, and I'm sure there'll be a clip of you drinking
Yeah.
something. So before we get out of here, I gotta let you know what we're watching next time, because next time we'll be seeing some of our old friends again, Sam. In 1985, the Muppets put out a series of 10 home videos through a company called Playhouse Video, and these are a series of compilations featuring songs and sketches from the Muppet Show, but in between those songs and sketches is some new Muppet content.
I feel like it's gonna make me really sad.
Well, hopefully not. Because, since we've previously watched and discussed The Muppet Show, we will not be watching all 10 full length VHS tapes. But
Mm-hmm.
we do have access to just the original Muppet parts of those tapes, and we'll be watching them next week. So these are the interstitials from Children's Songs and Stories, Country Music with the Muppets, Fozzie's Muppet Scrapbook, Gonzo Presents Muppet Weird Stuff,
Hmm.
The Kermit and Piggy Story,
Oh, interesting.
Muppet Moments, The Muppet Review, Muppet Treasures, Rock Music with the Muppets, and Rolf's Rhapsodies with the Muppets.
There's one where they're in the attic of the theater, like looking through relics, right?
I think that's maybe this. They also do another series of videos, I think in 86 or 88 or something like that, later on that we'll also watch. But
Interesting.
I have not seen much of these. So
Gonna
we
be
will
great to see actual puppets again.
watch some actual puppets. I think the first one's like all Scooter, just talking directly to the
Whoa.
camera, hanging out with
Okay.
us. So that'll be
Richard loved to do extracurriculars.
Yeah, Richard was available for hire.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be next time. We will obviously tweet, X, post, whatever you call it, the playlist of where you can watch those along with us if you follow us over there. And I'll try to remember to post them on Threads and Blue Sky as well. But we need to thank our friend Tuna for making the music for this podcast and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. Don't forget about all the stuff we mentioned at the top of the episode. You want to send us a question, you want to pick up some merch, you just want to see our faces, commitment.com is the place for all that stuff. And again, you can follow this podcast everywhere on social media at Commitment Pod, and you can follow me at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.